What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, and today I'll be discussing my top 10 Mo songs. But first, my top 5 Al songs, my top 5 Chuck songs, and my top 5 Rob songs. Because the three main members of Mo, the three that have sort of been the core of the group for the longest period of time, the two guitar players and the bass player, are all songwriters and singers, and they each have a bunch of songs. I would say that Al is the Jerry Garcia of the band. Um, Rob is probably more like a Bob Weir or Bob Weir slash Barlow, and Al Schneir is more of the Hunter Garcia, and Chuck Garvey is kind of the Phil Lesh. Their songwriting kind of falls into those styles. I think Al's stuff is a little more like universally applicable to things like Jerry's are. Rob's is a little more specific and a little more just kind of quirky at times, and Chuck's kind of falls in that weird line between the two of them, kind of like Phil does. Plus, Chuck has like one song per album, if that, maybe two or three, but not a lot. So he kind of has that Phil role. So I'm going to do my top 5 of each, and then the top 10 of Mo. And not all the ones on those top 5 lists are going to be on that top 10 list, or that top 10 list will have ones not on those other 5, because there are songs that the group wrote collectively. I'm not including those on the individual song list, only things that they wrote completely, lyrics and music. And then one of them has 6 songs on the list because they were really, really hard for me to narrow it down to 5. And they had 6 on the list because one of them I think is for me personally by far my favorite of the songwriters. And I had a really hard time narrowing it down to 5 for this particular person. But yeah, Zappa, they cover San Bernardino. They do an Inca Roads quote at least once. I think they've done Muffin Man. And I just listened to a show that had a Farmer Ben. Farmer Ben is a song that hasn't been studio released. It's on a live release. Dr. Stan's Prescription Volume 1. Song called Farmer Ben, and at the end of that they have a little section where they quote like a bunch of songs back to back to back, and it's a St. Patrick's Day show, and referencing a leprechaun they quote Father Oblivion in that, so we have another Zappa reference. But yeah, I'm going to put the list right there as I go over it. So in alphabetical order, let's start with Al. Bam, right there. Those are my top 5 Al songs. Number 5, Yoda Little. Live, I just can't. This is one of my favorite. If I go to a Mo show, Recreational Chemistry, which is number 1 on this list, and Yoda Little are probably the 2 songs I want to see more than anything, just because live they are so epic. As a song, Yoda Little's a fun little thing. There's a little like yodeling type, yo, Yoda Little lady. A lot of good L's in there and a lot of good alliteration. But just like the intro is really neat. The guitar play between Chuck and Al and how they go back. There's like a really nice little solo section between the verses that Chuck gets a solo. Then there's an ending part that kind of has a little more floating, amorphous type thing. And then the ending is like this pre-written part that kind of escalates and builds and has these neat little runs by Al. It's just musically such a beautiful song. Lyrically, it's quirky, it's fun. It shows Al's more like indulgent, fun singing side. But yeah, they've done it twice on a studio album. Did it once early and then re-released it on a later album. But just a ridiculously good song. Number 5, Yoda Little. Number 4, Lost Along the Way. Off the Conch, a slower song. One of his sort of like Al's ballad numbers. Just love the lyrics. Love his singing on this. There's like a solo where they kind of drop into it at the end, and it kind of has this almost like uplifting vibe about it with a really nice closing solo. There's been a couple really good live versions that are out there where it kind of segues out of something, and that's always nice to hear this song kind of emerge out of something else, or even as a standalone song to like close a set with that kind of uplifting solo at the end. Just Al's got a whole bunch of like really good sort of ballady type numbers. I think this is like, yeah, the best of them, obviously. That's why it's number 4. Number 3, Silver Sun. Oh my gosh, this is a good song. Feels like a live number. I think it's like 9 minutes long on the studio version. opens up with this really long solo that, to me, the vamp that Rob is playing on bass kind of sounds like the beginning to Linda Ronstadt's You're No Good. This like boom, boom. You almost can hear Linda coming in, singing the first lines to that, which I can never remember. Feeling some since we've been through, whatever it is. Yeah, reminds me of that. And the solo's really nice and long. Then when they get to the vocals, it's a very Beatlesque, psych, almost Sgt. Pepper, Yellow Submarine, trippy, White Album, deep cut type psych lyrics, psych vocals. And then there's a nice closing jam to close it out. Just an epic, epic song. Definitely one of their greatest late period songs. Helps lift, can't even remember what album that is, but helps lift that album to absolutely incredible heights. Amazing song. What album is that on? Oh, it's on No Guts, No Glory. Yeah, great, great song. My number 3. My number 2 for Al is So Long. This is off Dither. Has kind of like a Pink Floyd slow jam type vibe. I'd seen it coupled with Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun. And it has that slow, just kind of neat vibe. It has some parts that sort of like build up every once in a while. But for the most part, it's just like a very kind of slow burning, just really cool vibe. And it's one of those that live they can stretch out to really nice lengths and kind of just play with the kind of chill atmosphere of the song. Just another great, great Al song. And then number 1, they're Dark Star, they're Tweezer, they're whatever epic songs other bands have. They're Dundante, My Morning Jacket, Recreational Chemistry. Lyrics are about recreational chemistry. The opening riff is really cool. There's really cool jams in it. The closing solo by Al is usually pretty, like goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Rob live gets a lot of really good bass parts in this. This is just another example of like every member of the band contributing to the fullest of their potential to just make the most interesting song. And it being about recreational chemistry and smoking the whole damn lawn, like form fits function. It's one of those songs when you hear it live, you hope you got some recreational chemistry to help just add to the experience, because it is a pretty stupidly phenomenal song. Recreational Chemistry. But yeah, those are my top 5 Al songs right there. Now we're moving on to my top 5 alphabetical order Chuck songs. Number 1, Wind It Up, off the conch. Really good keyboard work in here. Really good proggy intro. A longer number, I guess like over 6 minutes, maybe close to 7 minutes. Just some really nice vocal delivery, nice lyrics, really nice keyboard work. Has a really good kind of spacey, but kind of indulgently proggy. A lot of like, complicated written parts that go in there. But yeah. Oh, I started with number 1. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to start with number 5. Number 5, Akimbo, the opening track off Head Seed. Really neat upbeat song. This is the one that is the middle jam where like at one point it's like Chuck gets 8 bars and Al gets 8 bars, then they get 4 bars, then they get 4 bars, then 2, then 2, then 1, then 1. Then they're literally at one point just like trading notes back and forth. It's like the interplay between the two guitarists is so ridiculous in Akimbo. Number 4 is 4. That was an accident. I just now realized that. A slow number by Chuck. It's the last song off No Doy. Just starts off with this really neat guitar part. This like just like a really slow, taking its time song. And Mo, if they have a slow song like So Long, like 4, even like Yoda Little kind of parts, they slowly let rhythms develop or moods develop or guitar ideas develop. They're in no rush to get anywhere. And this is one of those songs where like they just take their time. And when they're at their best, it's when they're the most indulgent and like taking things slowly and letting the song build. During the vocals, Chuck will like play and sing at the same time. Did you see it? Play guitar as he's singing the lines. And then this is the one where there's an Inca Rhodes quote on one of the Warts and All, where at the end of the solo, he drops into the da-na-na-na-na-na, Inca Rhodes. Really just a really great Chuck showcase that takes a more like a So Long type slow burn vibe. that Mo does better than anybody else. Number 3, Y.O.Y., fun, upbeat song, early in their career. Has some really neat guitar part where Chuck has to like go like like slide up and down the fretboard, and like it's always a big moment live. We're like, come on, Chuck, don't mess it up. Come on, Chuck, you got this. Take a deep breath. They mess around with, and then in a live context, a lot of times this is played as a self-contained song, but when it's live, they usually would jam out that end really nicely into something pretty sweet. There is a ridiculously amazing Y.O.Y. into George on Warts and All Volume 5. Number 2 is It, Tin Cans and Car Tires. Great, just slide guitar work. Just a really fun, pretty straightforward, like rock Chuck song. Just has some great guitar work in it, great energy. Chuck didn't have a lot of songs. Like, I think there's maybe like less than 10 or about 12 or something. There's not a lot of songs, so like this is almost half of his output. But then number 1, as I talked about earlier, Wind It Up. Great keyboard work, a little proggier, some nice complicated parts in there. Just a really, really neat song. Those are my top 5 Chuck songs. And now, top 5 Rob songs are right there. Number 5, Nebraska. Just it gets stuck in, if I hear this song, it's stuck in my head for days. Super thick chunks of broken lines and whatever that is. The nice keyboard. Just a really strong melodic hook. It's just a really, really good pop song. And as somebody who used to follow the Dead and follow Fish and like drive across the country, Nebraska has a certain, and Kansas have a certain sort of like hitting Nebraska as you're driving across either 70 hitting Kansas or driving across 80 hitting Nebraska. It's just like, man, we gotta drive across Nebraska. And I remember once we were going out to, coming back, I think, no, we were going somewhere to the East Coast to see some Dead shows. And we hit Nebraska, and there was a friend of ours named Heather, and she wanted to drive across Nebraska. That was it. She didn't want to drive any other time. So literally, she was like, hey, when we get to Nebraska, pull over, let me drive. We're like, okay, cool. Pulled over, we let her drive. We go across Nebraska. We have to stop for gas once. It's a huge state. We get to the border of Nebraska. She pulls off the side of the road, literally under the, I think it was, you're going into Iowa, right? The welcome to Iowa sign, or maybe Illinois, wherever we were. She pulls over under the sign, was like, I'm done. Yeah, we're switching, climbs in the back seat and goes to sleep till we got to our destination. So yeah, Nebraska, I have personal experience with Nebraska, driving across it many a time. So anyways, Nebraska. Number 4, The Pit. Another good, really proggy song that has a really nice, heavy riff in it. Has an evil, darker undertone. This is off the Conch. The Conch has a lot of these really good sort of darker, slightly more complicated proggy songs that I think work really well with this band, that they also can like lean into and indulge in some solos, indulge in some heaviness. This one has just a really good like riff in it that the bass and the guitar player play at the same time, I think. Like, and then there's just some screaming guitar solos in there. Really good live song. 3, New York City. Love the melody to this. This is just another perfect pop song. Love singing the chorus. It has sort of an Irish Celtic feel to it. Just really good vibe, really good energy. One of the sort of really good pop songs that were on Dither. And then number 1 and 2 are sort of like live powerhouses. Number 2, Rebubula. Just amazing guitar parts, amazing music parts throughout the entire song. It's a longer song. Live, that intro part, they would do a lot of sort of maybe like more jammy, banjo-y type, like country back porch type intro that would finally go into the main theme. You'd get the verses. Then that middle section before they drop the beat and solo just got weird and spacey and went cool out there. Like some like King Crimson, Talking Heads type rhythms would sometimes seep into that. So live, the potential in this song is huge, but as a song itself, it's a really neat, longer song with some excellent guitar parts throughout the entire thing. And then number 1, Timmy Tucker, that just when they go into Timmy Tucker, when they first just start that, and they play that opening riff, like that's it. I'm in. The momentum in that is so incredible. It takes you through the rest of the song. There's usually a really good solid solo in the middle, really great jam at the end. Like, I think there's like a 30-minute Timmy Tucker out there on one of the Warts and All that goes into, I think it goes into Rec Chem, right? No, maybe it goes to Rebubula. But yeah, this is one of those songs that if they drop it live, something magical is probably going to happen. And the energy of this song is so incredible. A great, great Rob song. But yeah, so those are my 5 songs from the individual players. And now I'm going to actually put up the entire list so you can look at it. But there is the entire list of my top 10 songs. 3 of them were not on those other 3 lists. Number 10, an Al song, Can't Seem to Find. Perfect pop song. The guitar parts in this are incredible. The lyrics are incredible. Al singing is incredible. Just a perfect perfect pop song. Al has about 6 or 7 of these that I wanted to put on this list. Yeah, like Smoke. I usually don't give honorable mentions, but I got to mention Al's other stuff. Smoke is one of those. Haze is one of those. There's a couple things on Sticks and Stones that are those. Like Al just writes these really good, really catchy songs that I absolutely love. But this is easily Can't Seem to Find as one of my favorite. Number 9, the Chuck song Wind It Up. Number 8, Rob's Timmy Tucker. Number 7, Yodel Little. And number 6, the band collectively wrote it. It is an instrumental. It is essentially a bridge between the opening Not Coming Down and whatever, Okay, All Right on Wormwood. It is the title track, Wormwood, which is just this really neat, slow instrumental that has this amazing slide guitar work. It just is nothing but a groove and a slow jam and a vibe. And it's just Mo at their quintessential instrumental, jammy best. And there are versions of this. I saw this in a Dallas show or an Oklahoma City show back in like the early 2000s. And they opened with a Not Coming Down into what was like a 30-minute Wormwood. And they just pushed this like as far as they could push it without ever really going into like crazy places, but just riding this groove for so long. And like there were deviations and yet there was stuff to make it interesting, but it always felt like this core groove was just there. And I just think the template for what this is like Mo at its absolute best. And then the top 5, we have 4 Al songs, Lost Along the Way, Silver Song So Long, and Rec Chem. And then the one that sneaks in there is Bullet. Chuck wrote the lyrics. I think the entire band wrote the music. I like to think of it as a Chuck song. It's off Wormwood also. Just a really great, really good guitar parts. It also has kind of a slow vibe, has some interesting little rhythm changes in it. When they sing the vocals, it has this really neat like sort of guitar part that comes in. Really good guitar solo in it in a live version. But it has this neat like doo-doo, doo-doo, starts off with this really simple, straightforward doo-doo, and then when the vocals come in, it's like everything gets all crazy for a while, and then we drop back to that doo-doo. Just a really, really, really cool groove. But yeah, that's it. Those are the top 10. Rec Chem, by far, number 1, the easiest. That is their Dark Star. That is their Playing in the Band. That is their Tweezer. That is their epic song that you hope to hear live. So Long, another great one. A little more of a chill, weird Pink Floyd, type exploratory type number. Silver Sun, late period Mo, great guitar solo, incredible Beatlesque lyrics, great guitar solo to close. Yeah, so that's it. Those are my top 10 Mo songs. I try not to let their liveness influence how I pick these. And so I think if you find the studio versions of all these, the studio versions are also worth checking out because these songs are so great. Though Rec Chem, the studio version versus almost any live version is just like, it is ridiculously good live. But anyways, yeah, that's it. 20 minutes of Mo songs, me just rambling off the top of my head. Let me know what your favorite Mo songs, what songs I missed, which ones I'm wrong about, what I messed up about, what I should check out again. You know how comments work, people. But thanks. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, and most importantly, go listen to music, people, and make your life better. Peace. Talk to you later.